3 years ago, a fuse was lit. A lie exploded into violence. And I'm saddened to say that today, we're still not in the clear. Americans, by our nature, our history, and our upbringing, are proud people. Our nation was founded on rebellion against an autocratic government that oppressed us, taxed our wealth, and silenced our voices. We have held that history deeply in our hearts because we believe that government is intended to work for us and not the other way around. In school, we pledge allegiance to the flag, to our republic. We believe that we are an exceptional nation and that we must defend that to our core, and in some cases, our lives. 3 years ago, a man who had gained the trust and votes of millions by convincing them he embodied that rugged spirit abused their trust and patriotism. He convinced millions of patriotic Americans that the enemy was within and the election was rigged and that their votes didn't count. It was the big lie, and he's still telling it to this day. The election was not stolen. In fact, the evidence proves it was the most secure election in our nation's history. Ironically, the least secure thing about it was that we had a sitting president working overtime to scam his loss into a win. Donald Trump lost dozens of cases in court. His conspiracy theories were widely debunked, and his own White House and campaign staff members repeatedly informed him that he lost by over 7 million votes. The truth was staring him right in the face, yet he does not possess the character, integrity, honesty, and most of all, that rugged American spirit to demonstrate class in victory or grace in defeat. He never has, and he never will. But it shouldn't really surprise us. His ego and narcissism were on display from the start, infecting everything he touched with drama and insanity. Whether it was something minor like ordaining a hurricane's path with a Sharpie, or something major like telling the world he trusts Putin over our own intelligence agencies, the constant drumbeat made so many of us exhausted and numb to the constant chaos. And on January 6, 2021, the lies of Donald J. Trump metastasized into one of the darkest days in our country's history. I was there. I felt the evil in the air. I heard the calls to hang the vice president. I watched the brave men and women of the Capitol Police and DC Metro Police engage in hand-to-hand combat with a violent mob of zombies infected with his lies. And I saw symbols of my faith being used as weapons, and hymns I grew up with being sung in the Senate chambers. It was a perversion of faith. It was the worship of a man. Here's the truth. Donald Trump lost big and couldn't accept it. He tried convincing state leaders to overturn their election results, to find enough votes to declare him the victor. He tried intimidating local election workers, good Americans who simply wanted to do their part to ensure the people could vote. He tried convincing DOJ officials to simply say that the election was corrupt and, quote, leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. When it became evident he would still lose, he had one last desperate play: delay the certification by any means necessary, so a Congress he controlled rather than the people could make him president. When the violent fuse he lit traveled down Pennsylvania Avenue and exploded at the Capitol, he gleefully watched the chaos he'd unleashed on Congress for 187 minutes, more than 3 hours. In that time, he did nothing to help law enforcement officials fighting for their lives, nothing to call in the National Guard. He did nothing to quell the violent mob fighting in his name. But why would he? It was his insurrection, after all, and he's only ever cared about himself. Donald Trump is running again because he is a small, frightened man. He knows his crimes are catching up to him. He wants to win not to help America become some great power. He wants to help himself avoid the justice he deserves. He's trembling and afraid. Our Constitution and Republic are on the line because of his fragile ego. And that's why 2024 has become a single-issue election. Does democracy survive, or does it die? Today, the third anniversary of this stain on our democracy, is not a day just to revisit the darkness, but rather is a perfect time to expose and shine light upon the lies. I've always said democracies are not judged by their bad days, but by how we emerge from them, and that history has yet to be written. I've been a Republican all my life, but the threat Donald Trump poses to America transcends political parties. In 2024, we can show one another, we can show the world that while democracy may be fragile, the American spirit is strong. We can defeat his lies, we can defeat his cult, and we can defend our shining city on a hill. I'll leave you with this. 3 years ago, I issued a challenge to my fellow Americans. Will we prey on people's fears or draw upon their hopes? Will we feast on anger or summon better angels? Will we lead America forward and upward? This rings as true today as it did then. Together we can make it happen. Will you join me?